So today we're going to share with you our list of some of our favorite novels, and this is going to be a series. We're going to upload our favorite piece of poetry, our favorite plays, and at the moment we had only 6 of our favorite novels on our bookshelf, and that's what we are gonna do. So, shall we?
Yes, of course.
So it begins.
So the
Here we
first
go.
book here we have with us is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. A classic, a 19th century classic.
It has always been one of my favorite books, and if you are a beginner, this is where you should be starting from. It's basically a story that grips us humans, because everyone at some level at some part of his life relates with this story. It's a story how sometimes a person is overwhelmed by the evil he has, and sometimes he gets enveloped in evil, and there's a battle between evil and good, and it's a seesaw battle. And one of my favorite quotes that I loved about this book, and this was shared by a special person with me. If I'm the chief of sinners, I'm the chief of sufferers as well. So wonderful story of guilt, shame, and the classic battle between evil and good.
Of course.
Okay.
So the next book we have with us is The Return of Native. It's Hardy's classic and arguably one of his best books.
Okay, what would you say? Why would you recommend this book?
Okay, I would recommend this book because it's a Victorian era classic book, and it perfectly describes what Hardy thinks about, and it's what he thinks about nature and humans and personality of humans, and the way he portrays the character of Eustacia.
Yeah,
and
one of my favorite female characters. You ever stumbled upon this fate vs free will story? From that Greek fatalism era. Hardy and his concept of cosmic irony. Fate. We are surrounded by the hostile forces of nature. One of my favorite quotes from Eustacia, where she says that how I've tried and tried to be a splendid woman, and how destiny has been against me. I've been injured, blighted, and crushed by things beyond my control.
And there's one more thing. No one, I don't think any author has mentioned or described a place like Hardy does in this novel.
Place comes comes alive. It's like Acton Heath. It's like a character, living, breathing character.
And he mentions in the novel that storm was his.
One of those quotes where he says, the sea changed, the moon changed, all the phenomenon of nature kept on evolving, but Acton Heath, it remained.
Yes.
It was inevitable, and it was timeless, and it never changed. It had overwhelming influence on humans, and you just see, you ever try to betray your birthplace, and how that birthplace somehow exacts revenge. This is
and
one of those
if we
stories.
talk about the quality of this novel, and if we look at how he describes the character of
the language, the Queen of Night.
Queen of Night.
If you're a student of literature and you just
want to enjoy it,
you just entering into the realms of English literature and you want to be mesmerized, I guess this is the best possible book that you could read, especially the chapter Queen of Night, where he describes Eustacia. That is language at its very, very best.
Otherworldly. So the next book we have with us is my personal favorite, and it's Emily Bronte's classic Wuthering Heights, and the only novel she wrote in her lifetime, and it's one of the best, if not the best, of course.
People often compare Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights, two sisters, Charlotte Bronte and Emily Bronte. I guess she's like John Keats or Christopher Marlowe, some of those literary giants who just died. They were gone too soon. I think in her mature years she would have been a splendid writer. And imagine she was writing in an era where it wasn't that easy for women to express themselves.
And they were, also, religiously and
Yeah,
politically.
Her father, he was a priest as well, so it would have been very, very difficult for her to, write this violent, dark love story.
It's
And
a chaotic love story.
chaotic love story. And yes, and one more thing that if sometimes you are stuck in this humdrum of life and you wanna enjoy the beauty of nature, such scenery where you feel inner peace. That is one of the places that I really loved in England. But that was Haworth, the birthplace of Emily Bronte. And now I realize how she must have felt, how that place had an overwhelming influence on her, and why
and the way she described Wuthering Heights and surroundings, it was just unbelievable.
A haunting place. It was tragic yet hauntingly beautiful. This is how I would
chaotic
define
but beautifully chaotic. You just cannot say
it's a tragic story, but it's hauntingly beautiful.
And one of the also the love-hate relation.
Yeah.
It's just, and how the characters, they just how can we explain? They just become tired of life, and
that is why the readers they must read it themselves if they really want to enjoy the complex nature of the love
and
affair
I'd say
between
if
Catherine and
any reader,
Heathcliff.
if you read this book, you will become a part of this book, or this book will become a part of you.
Yeah, one of the classics of literature.
And if you just
you Google any website or top 100 novels, this would
right on top.
Yeah,
in
this
top
would be
5
in
or
top
top 10.
50 at least.
Yeah, classic, absolute classic. Okay, so the next book is a different story. It's a dystopian novel, and Fahrenheit 451. It's Ray Bradbury's classic.
Okay, so is it the same author who wrote Dark River and Golden Isle?
Yes.
Yeah, he is something else. And sometimes when you read a dystopian novel, you're thinking like, what am I reading? And this stuff isn't relevant or relatable. But
writers are ahead of their time.
They are always ahead of their time.
And particularly when you talk about specifically about the writers, those who write dystopian novels, they are ahead of their time.
Yeah, and you talk about 1984
or Brave New World.
Yeah, or you always talk where is it happening? It's just not happening. And you look the world around you, and you feel like 1984. It describes our circumstances perfectly. And Fahrenheit 451 is one of those novels. It's like, it's basically it's the temperature where a page burns,
and how it is, how relevant it is in our times.
In our times, this ultra censorship period, you can see you cannot even write a post where you have a political opinion. You cannot even express yourself freely. There is so much censorship. And this is what this book is all about, that like intellectuals, they cannot exercise
their free opinion, of course.
Yeah.
And the title of the book is also very relevant. Fahrenheit 451.
That is the temperature.
That is the temperature where the paper starts to burn, or the book starts to burn. And he just brilliant. And how he explains the insane world. Yeah, it's just staggering.
It's happening right in front of us.
Yeah. So relevant in our times, and you must give it a go, of course.
Sure. Okay.
Moving on to the next one. It's Tess of the D'Urbervilles, and it's Hardy again, and another brilliant novel of Thomas Hardy. So you rate this novel very highly in your list. Yeah, may I ask why?
You are in the 21st century, and now women are not judged the way they used to be judged in the Victorian time. You see, it's a really tragic story. Once again, the cosmic irony is at play here. Hardy describes how Tess, she was surrounded by the hostile forces of nature. They were out to get her, and no matter how hard she tries to escape, it's an inescapable reality. She has to suffer, and as in one of his novels, he said, happiness
is but an
occasional episode. And that occasional episode is the character Angel. He's supposed to be a
An angel, of course.
pure guy.
That's an
and
ironic.
what does he do? He brutally abandons her, and that is where she loses herself.
Yeah.
And that is where she loses her
And
cool and
how
goes on
relevant
to-
even the names are, Angel and then Sorrow. He names her son Sorrow.
You know, that was the time. Maybe still in the third world countries, women are going through that. You know, it was entitled Tess, a pure woman. How she was supposed to be a pure how she was supposed to be a pure woman. You know, this concept of virginity, it has evolved over the years. But in the third world countries, it's still like, you know, if a woman is not virgin, she's not considered to be pure. But a man, he has you know, freedom to do whatever he wants. He can have extramarital affairs and stuff like that. And he exposes the shallow morality of the Victorians.
Yeah, and of course, and when she asked the priest that you should baptize my,
Yeah,
you should take him in.
although he feels sorry for her, he feels pity, but still he considers society is too strong. Society's influence is too strong. That
And
is why he doesn't. It's a tragic story. You know, if you're really interested in studying how morality evolves and how sometimes humans are, you know, they're controlled by forces of nature, hidden forces of nature, and they are uncontrollable. You read. I really love the quote where he refers to Aeschylus. He called God the president of the immortals.
President of the immortals had
and this poor. You know, when she dies, he said the president of the immortals. He was playing with her, and she died.
This epitomizes Hardy's whole philosophy that nature and fate, there is just
That this is what cosmic irony is all about. You cannot escape. Just like Agdon, you couldn't escape Agdon, you cannot escape the hostile forces of nature. It's a must-read, a classic, and the language of Hardy, he's poetic. You know, I don't see there is I don't believe that there has been a writer who you know, plays with words better than Hardy. Talking about prose, of course, I'm not talking about drama. I'm not talking about Shakespeare, but in prose language, in novels, he's one of the best.
yeah, definitely. Okay, so this is a last book, and it's a bit different from the other books we have mentioned. It's a psychological thriller, classic Dostoyevsky's work, Crime and Punishment. So you always talk about this book, and this is your favorite Dostoyevsky's work. And what is the reason why it is so important that you just always mention this work when it's Dostoyevsky?
I guess humans are so complex that, you know, a psychiatrist, you can study PhD on human emotions on one certain guy, and then you'll realize it wasn't enough. But you know, I don't believe writers usually delve that deep into someone's inner recesses of mind to study what really goes through humans' minds. You know, they just give you the story, a traditional story where a person, he's evil, he's being evil, he's getting punished. If he's a good guy, he does good stuff and he gets rewarded, stuff like that. But you know, what he does differently, what Dostoevsky does differently, you just think about what goes through a person's mind when he's planning to murder a woman. You know, he thinks about all the consequences, like consequences, psychological consequences, you know,
Societal
consequences. You know, the police, they can catch him, or when he thinks that he has got everything covered, that's when he realizes that there is one more thing, God. But he doesn't believe in God. So since there is no God, everything is permitted. So he goes on to murder a woman, perfectly justified murder in his mind. But very soon he realizes, but there was one more thing that he hadn't covered, and that was his guilt. And that guilt, you know, it so overwhelms him that he feels that he deserves to be punished, because without that punishment he will never find peace.
So
in this
the
world.
way Dostoevsky talks about the inner guilt,
Yeah.
that no other author has ever done that, and on this level, of course.
Yeah, I guess he goes so deep. Sometimes I believe that if you read Dostoevsky, there's a certain level of madness that overwhelms you, and he
And
goes
intensity of emotions that these
the
works.
roller coaster of emotions. That he goes to the place. You just think about a person. He's one day he's an atheist, another day he's a Christian, another day he's a Muslim. Humans, their emotions keep on evolving. One day you love a person, another day you hate that person, and then again those roller coaster of emotions. This is where Dostoevsky, he's so candid, he's so intelligent. He realizes that humans, their emotions are always inconsistent. This is the beauty of Dostoevsky, and it's a classic novel. It has so many layers to it that we cannot explore in just 3-4 minutes. I guess this is the book that one must read at least once in his lifetime.
These were the books that we wanted to discuss with you.
Because only these books we have on our bookshelf, and only these
In-
books we have in hard
paperback version, unfortunately, we only had these books. Otherwise, there's a huge list of books, and of course, we would like to talk about all those works with you, and not just novels. These are all novels,
And next time we'll
we
make a
will
list
not
of
confine ourselves to novels. We will discuss poetry, plays, and we will talk about a lot about you.
and starting from Greek drama, then Elizabethan drama, and so
And
on,
there
so on,
were
so forth.
some favorite novels of mine that were missing, and even we talk about dystopian fiction. The best work in dystopian fiction, 1984, or if you talk about Brave New World,
We'll discuss.
Of course, we'll
all
discuss
those novels.
as soon as we have the paperback version, of course. So that's
for
it
now-
from us. From now,
Good luck.
good luck. Okay.